with Indigenous protocol and building respectful relationships between Indigenous and non-Indigenous peoples in Canada, it's customary to acknowledge the traditional lands and ancestral lands of the Indigenous peoples. The Barrie Chamber acknowledges the sacred land on which we operate. It's been the site of human activity for 15,000 years. This land is the ancestral land of the Wendat and Anishinaabe Nation. The treaties that were signed for this particular parcel of land are the Williams Treaty, Robinson Superior Treaty number 60, Penetanguishene Purchase number 5, and the Nottawasaga Purchase number 18. We're dedicated to honoring Indigenous history and culture. We also recognize the enduring presence of Indigenous peoples on this land, and we are committed to moving forward in the spirit of reconciliation and respect. Miigwech. So I want to welcome you to the first Mayor's Lunch that we've had since 2020, before the world sort of ended. I said previously that I wouldn't mention that again, but kind of have to in this particular case. So it's great to be able to be back in this room and to be listening to Mayor Nuttall provide an update on his council's progress with just about a year under his belt and their belt, and to provide some insight into his future plans and the vision for Barrie. This exchange today is vital for us to be informed and to participate in proactive community engagement. I'd like to acknowledge some of the guests that we have in the room today. We have MPP and Attorney General Doug Downey, MPs Doug Shipley and John Broussard. We have Barrie City councillors and staff. Oh, sorry, I should say we also have Andrea Kanjan here as our MPP. Nice to see you, Andrea. Thanks for coming. We also have Sergio Morales, Robert Thompson, Nagiz, Craig Nixon, Bryn Hamilton, Gary Harvey, Anne-Marie Kungle, and the City of Barrie CAO, Michael Prowse. I'd also like to invite the Barrie Chamber of Commerce Board members that are here to stand as well, if you wouldn't mind. Our President, Richard Nixon, our Second VP, Sandy Tuckey, our Treasurer, Andy Gubbles, our Secretary, Bruce McGilvery, and our Directors, Sarah Dobson, Rob Newman, and Amber Bennett. And also our past President from a few years back, Todd Tuckey. Come on up, stand up, Todd, nice to see you. I'd also like to thank our main sponsors, Invest Barrie, Paul Sadlon Motors, nice to see you guys back, the DG Group, and the City of Barrie. And with that, I'm going to call on the President of the Chamber to come up and to introduce our guest speaker today.
There we go. Thank you, Paul. And I'd like to extend a warm welcome to everybody here. Hopefully you've had a good lunch. I certainly enjoyed mine. I'm pleased to introduce Mayor Alex Nuttall. His commitment to leadership and community engagement has played a crucial role in driving economic growth and addressing key issues here in Barrie. And with that, please welcome Mayor Nuttall to the stage. Thank you.
Thank you, Richard, and thank you, Paul, for the opportunity to speak to the business community today. Before I get going into really what is, I think, going to speak to some of the initiatives the city is working on and some of the things that are coming down the pipeline, I first wanted to thank our CAO and City Council. And the reason I wanted to thank our CAO, I want to thank you for buying 250 tickets so I didn't speak to an empty room today. That's fantastic. Well done. Really appreciate that. It makes me feel really good. Secondly, before I get going, I recently became engaged, and I know what you're thinking, like, how did he do that? And I'm still amazed myself. But one of the things that Meg and I always talk about is she said to me, you know, the one thing I want, Alex, the one thing I want is always keep it interesting. And so when we were driving in today, I took a photo of the protesters and I sent it to Meg and said, I'm still keeping it interesting. Another success, another day. Anyway, well, thank you all for coming. You represent businesses, you represent organizations, you represent what really is the makeup of this city. And so my opportunity to speak to you and tell you about all the things that we're doing at City Hall and quite frankly throughout the city to try to support you in creating jobs, in finding your hopes and opportunities, that is really what we want to cover today. So it's very broad. We're going to cover things like recreation, not-for-profits, roads, the amount of housing that's getting built in the City of Barrie, as well as jobs overall. So it has been an incredibly busy year. Council, we worked on our strategic priorities in December of 2022, just over a year ago. We picked those. I'm going to go through those a little bit later. We also chose that we wanted to be a fiscally responsible council. I'll get more into the 2024 budget as we go through this, but in terms of last year's budget, we were able to deliver a 0% city operations increase, and we delivered a 1% capital operation increase, and I'm going to get into where those dollars go. But in the backdrop of inflation and high interest rates, you have a public service as well as a city council that understands that it's a difficult time. We made a commitment to the province of Ontario, and more importantly, we made a commitment to the people of Barrie that we were going to deliver 23,000 new housing starts over the next 10 years. And yes, this pledge was signed to the province, but the reality is that we're signing that pledge with the province so that we can provide housing for people that live right here in the City of Barrie, for people to be able to either downsize if they're a senior wanting to get into a smaller unit, or they want to get their first home or upsize. We need to be able to deliver housing to market. We're addressing speeding and obviously trying to keep our neighborhoods safe. We went through an official plan consultation. We didn't know this was coming. And in October, we got the news that our original official plan that was amended by the province needed to get a little bit more feedback. And so we went straight to the people and said, tell us what you want to see this city look like, what you want to see it feel like, what you want to breathe when you're driving around. And so we delivered an 847-page document to Minister Calandra outlining what the hopes and dreams are for the City of Barrie. We are open for business. We're going to get through some of those business expansions that have come in the last year. And we have made a $128 million investment in infrastructure. For me, when I was running in the election just over a year ago, you would have heard me say the euphemism, we are going to fix the roads. And fixing the roads is fixing the roads, but it's also fixing all of the other things. It's fixing the sewers. It's ensuring we have recreation services. It's ensuring that where business wants to locate, they have the proper services in place, and that's what we've been working on over the last year. And finally, we had 8 years with no YMCA. And we still don't, quite frankly, even though we found a place for them, but in the next 3, we'll be able to deliver that YMCA location. And this YMCA isn't coming to existence because City Council has given 2 or 3 acres of land to use. It's come into existence because of the hard work by the folks of the YMCA, the province of Ontario stepping up to the plate with a massive amount of funding for the YMCA, and the city coming in as an addition to that. So we are just one piece of the puzzle that's helping make that happen. In terms of the economic landscape for the City of Barrie, we've maintained our AA+ rating. That is a really important piece that we always want to start with. Obviously, underpins our ability to borrow, underpins our cost of borrowing, and really lets the city know what the agencies think of us overall. So that is a big win. Craig Miller and the entire finance team, Michael and his entire executive management team deserve a lot of credit for that. But so does City Council, in the sense that over the last 2 budgets, and we're still finishing out our second budget right now, we have made a deliberate decision to ensure that we are balancing the needs of investment alongside how we come up with that revenue, and I believe that we're doing the right job and going the right direction on this. Responsible governance. So this year, I spoke a little bit about last year. This year, you're going to see another 0% city operation budget. That means we are literally holding the line on the keeping the lights on our staffing, and those types of things. We're also seeing a 2% investment, as I like to call it, in infrastructure. I'm going to be blunt. It's a tax, but the reality is what we're trying to indicate to you is where our priorities are. And our priorities are, as I said, in fixing the roads, investing in infrastructure, and delivering the city that everybody knows that Barrie can be. And at the same time, holding the public service levels where they are so that we can ensure that the affordability factor doesn't go in the wrong direction in the City of Barrie. Responsible governance also means the lobbyist registry. So January 1st of this year, the lobbyist registry in the City of Barrie came into being. I always like to say, you know, the public doesn't need to worry about the meetings that you know about. You need to worry about the meetings that you don't know about. And so what the lobbyist registry does is it provides transparency when special interest groups want to come in and lobby the city for one decision or another. It provides transparency to who those special interest groups are, what they're asking for, and when they lobbied your city council. If your name's on that list, that's a good thing. Because I think that we all want engagement with special interest groups, but they need to be transparent so that you, the voters, you, the citizens of the City of Barrie, know who's influencing decision-making at City Hall. And only when that transparency exists can we actually have accountability for the decision-making process that's gone into making any decision and understanding what lies behind it. Our population growth, as everyone knows, we're on our way to 298,000 people. That growth is, you know, we're experiencing it very quickly right now. We're going to get into some of that data a little bit later on, but let's just say this year is unprecedented in terms of both new housing starts and occupancies, which is a very good thing for the City of Barrie going forward. Inflation and interest rates, I mean, obviously, as I said before, it adds pressure to the City of Barrie just like it does any household or business budget. I've been really impressed with the way that our finance staff have been able to balance paying down some debt to reduce costs where we've had reserves available, and at the same time ensuring that we're only issuing debt at the appropriate times to keep those debt costs down. And I think going forward for the City of Barrie, that's going to pay large dividends along with some other moves we made in terms of reserve management over the last decade. And it really is putting the City of Barrie. We are positioned at the forefront of how municipal finance should be structured here in the province of Ontario, to the point where we have other municipalities coming and saying, what are you doing with your investment reserves that we're not, and how can we become part of it? So I think there's a lot of really good things that are coming down the line on that. This is just a quick slide to kind of show what's happening in the housing market. It's probably not new information to anybody, but I think that this is a major backdrop that's defining the provincial, municipal, and federal relationships and governance right now, as well as county relationships. And obviously, we're starting to get into a struggle. Hopefully, we are able to get through that in quick time. In terms of housing development, I kind of spoke to this a little bit before, and I always mention this to Dana from CTV and to Bob from Barrie Today. The number of dwelling units start, you'll see that green line there, that is 2023. And so you can see that we've had a major increase in housing starts, not just in 2023, but 2022 over 21 as well. That's a very good indication. So the question is, what's the number? The number for the City of Barrie is 1,809 starts. The pledge that we signed for the province of Ontario with Premier Ford and his cabinet, with our MPPs, was for 1,687 housing starts this year. We are exceeding. Now, if you put that in perspective, I believe that we're one of 3 municipalities out of the 30 that are exceeding the goals set out by the province. There's roughly 30 organizations part of the Big City Mayors. We're one of 3 that are achieving. That's putting us in a really good position, not only to be able to meet the housing need and demand on the local level, but it's also putting us in a really good position in how we deal with the provincial and federal governments, where we're asking them to invest where they see success. And we are that success, and I think that we're going to reap dividends over the coming years. Right, Doug? Yeah, absolutely, right on that front. And the second one is the number of dwelling unit occupancies. Like it's a 120% increase. Like it is a huge increase year over year. And where that kind of speaks into the future of our finances as a municipality is that as those occupancies take place, they're able to then obviously start paying taxes as Impact determines those tax numbers. It then gets fed into the City of Barrie, and that helps us stop major tax increases going forward. So you can see that over the next 18 months, call it, we see a lot of upside in terms of new taxation coming online, which helps our current tax base. In terms of job creation, we have been very busy. There's 38 acres, as I recall, over at Bayview and Big Bay Point Road, and we brought that online very quickly. The proponent gave a quote at the news conference. He'd be waiting 3 years, and in 3 months we got done what he was asking for 3 years. Today, that land is now being built on. The work is happening as we speak, and we are going to see employers start moving in either late 2024 or early 2025, which is a very good news story for the City of Barrie. There's also the new Holiday Inn Express, and this is a really, really good one. If you speak to anyone involved in tourism, they will tell you that there aren't enough hotel rooms here in the City of Barrie, so having a new hotel being started is fantastic. We also have 2 or 3 more that we're going to be announcing over the next, call it 12 months. Where that really helps the City of Barrie as well is the MAT tax. So the accommodation tax does feed into what we're doing, whether it's an art center or the Sadlon Arena or any other things happening around the city on the tourism side. So it's great to see new hotel stock coming online. Speedy transport across the street from that previous development, 46,000 square feet. They chose Barrie, obviously another great advance, and 65,000 square feet that we worked very closely with the Agrarium Group to bring online. This development was hanging in the balance, and thankfully we have a council that stepped up and said we need to make sure that there are places where jobs can be created in the City of Barrie. Working with our public servants and working with council, we were able to deliver that, and Mr. Sperling and the Agrarian Group, I think, were incredibly happy with the results on that. We have new businesses opening up all the time, which is great to see. You can probably guess which one is my favorite on this screen. It's the Brewing Company. We were there, had the grand opening, and then they just won, not one, but 2 innovation awards here in November. There's been a lot of really positive stuff, whether it's downtown or around the city. Here's a few of the openings we've done throughout the year. I'm going to move this to, how do I start this video? Does anyone? It'll go. Maybe. I'm going to go back and then start again. I prefer my voice too, to be honest with you.
Hi there, Stephanie Schlichter with Invest Barrie. I am very thrilled to be here on the site of CanPlus's headquarters and warehouse distribution facility here in Barrie. I am here with Rich Schleicher. He is the president of CanPlus, and we love this. How about you tell us about the 75,000 feet that you just added on?
All right. Well, thank you very much, Stephanie. Yeah, it was nice to welcome the media here and to be here with the mayor to look at this addition to our facility. With this expansion, once we occupy it, we'll have 300,000 square feet of space for our warehousing needs, which from here in Barrie, we service the world, really. Our biggest markets are Canada, of course, and then now in the United States, but we reach New Zealand, Australia, Latin America, and even South Africa with some of our products. So right here in Barrie, products made here in Barrie by people who live in Barrie is a great testament to our success. That's why we've been here for 52 years and counting. We love Barrie, and it seems like the Barrie community loves us. So it's great to be here, and it's great to be able to acknowledge this addition.
That's amazing. And how many staff are currently with CanPlus across your 2 locations here?
So really across the country, because we do have sites in Edmonton and Langley as well for warehousing, but across the country we're about 260 people, of which about 250 of those, 240 of those really are right here in Barrie. So most of our job creation and needs are here in Barrie, and it's what's great about that is that almost all of our employees in these 2 sites in Barrie are within driving distance of home. Most of them live within Barrie, others in Simcoe County.
We are so thrilled to have you here, Rich. We're so excited about the expansion and what it means and your continued investment in the city. Thank you.
Well, thank you. Wonderful. Thanks so much.
Well, everyone give Stephanie a hand. And Camplas too. It's just another example of the city moving forward, of ensuring that we have a healthy employment base, and the city and our economic development staff working Invest Barrie working so closely with them. So I'm going to move on to the next slide in terms of talent and employment. The 2023, you can see at the end that there's actually a bit of an increase, a spike in the employment market and those who are unemployed. And so we're going to pay attention to that going forward, because I think it's really important. What we've seen over the last year is the trend line. The trend line is the important piece, I think, on this, where we have been steadily under the provincial and national averages. And so as we look forward, both on the participation rate as it started to creep up, and as well the unemployment rate, we'll see what the next few months have to offer. On talent attraction, our Invest Barrie team's working closely with the community, with businesses in the community, with the college. We saw, I think, about $1 million coming in through one of our programs, spread across 46 businesses, and that's all thanks to the work that's being done by Invest Barrie, Georgian College, and all of the partner businesses and organizations in the community. So if you're a part of that, congratulations and thank you. In terms of what's coming for 2024, you can see that we've got a few things coming in terms of trucking, specialized jobs, manufacturing tours, trade expos, and further funds through skills development funding. I mentioned earlier our priorities. And we've already kind of covered the last one, which is responsible governance, but there's 5 of them that we've determined that we want to really be focused on here in the City of Barrie. Number 1 is an affordable place to live. Now, too often when people talk about an affordable place to live, they're talking about the cost of housing and only the cost of housing. That is a very important piece, but it is not the only side of the affordability equation. The flip side is, how much can I earn? What revenues can I bring in order to be able to afford living and the quality of life that we all expect here in the City of Barrie? And so the conversation that we're having as a council, the conversation I want us to continue to have as a community, is that we need to find ways to reduce the cost of housing, be it through faster procedures at City Hall, or looking at development charge or community improvement plan incentives. But we also need to find ways to attract business to grow here in the City of Barrie, and businesses to locate here in the City of Barrie, because too often we're leaving behind the employment side of that equation. So that's affordable place to live. Community safety. We know it's a challenge right now. Throughout the Western world, we're seeing challenges like we've never seen before. We're working with our provincial partners, we're working with our federal partners, but more than anything, we're trying to ensure that we have a community that's safe and that's inviting. I think part of that is a thriving community, a community that we can go and access the things that we love to do. Like, people move to Barrie because you've got a lake in your front yard and you've got the hills in your backyard. And we need to make sure that those things are in the best possible shape and there's the best possible activities around them. And that's why we're looking at things like the Arts Center, and we're looking at opportunities to improve what we have at Sadlon and throughout recreation in the city. Infrastructure investment is, it's the meat and potatoes. It's making sure that everything that we want to achieve, that we talk about achieving in the next decade, is in place. And we have a great team in the infrastructure committee that's been working on that. Responsible governance, I think I've already covered for the most part, but what we want to do is ensure that we put any divisions of the past behind us, and that we focus on working together as a council team, that we build credibility and faith in the community, that we are here not to represent ourselves, but to represent the people who have chosen us. And those same people who've chosen us as representatives have chosen our provincial representatives, and they've chosen our federal representatives. So a responsible government in the City of Barrie works with both our provincial and federal partners, and we'll get more into that. In terms of getting houses built, I think I got a little ahead of myself, so there's not a lot to report here. 23,000 homes was our commitment, 1,809 in 2023, and we are well on our way in terms of what we've been seeing in December and January. We've also passed our affordable housing strategy, and I'm going to go into what is there, and then I'm going to talk about a little bit what I think needs to be included in the future. There was a lot of work done over a long period of time on this to make sure that there are going to be options going forward. And so whether it was the zoning bylaw, which is going to be coming back from Michelle and her team this year, and really trying to find ways to allow more affordable housing and attainable housing to be built. It's the, as I said before, the community incentive program, where we use funds that are allocated to try to incentivize specific things that we feel that we're weak on in the community. One of those is affordable housing. I think every community in the entire province, probably the country, is weak on this item right now. Using public land to deliver affordable housing. Michael and his team have been working with the county. We've identified at least one, possibly two locations that we will be working with the county of Simcoe to deliver new affordable housing on. That's on top of the Rose Street location. That it's nothing to do with that. We are working towards shortening our process in terms of decision making. Part of that has been worked on for the last number of years. This isn't new. This is constant. We're constantly looking internally and saying, how do we become better, stronger, faster at what we're doing? And Michelle and her team have been continuing that work. I would just outline that, and I see we have one, maybe two federal members with us right now, that we are still awaiting the federal funding from the accelerator, which part of the application from the city was to literally look internally at our processes and determine how we get ourselves out of the way of housing being built, and how we put the right people in the right places to ensure that we can be quicker and faster. Creating a concierge program. This has been a huge win between our planning department and our IT department, say that 5 times fast. And what we've been able to do is create an app, and through our website, a very interactive way for people to understand what development's happening in the city of Barrie. But it needs to go further than that. We need to find places where people can meet, they can engage, and they can put together plans because different partners come to the table with different things. And so we're going to see that happen through this initiative. Enhancing the Simcoe County Secondary Suite Program is already underway. The rental replacement bylaw that's going to be coming down the line, if you remove a rental unit, you got to replace it. Continuing the growth and density of affordable housing in terms of reaching out to the public. Why is this so important? What effect is it going to have on my community? What effect is it going to have on my neighborhood? And exploring the potential for inclusionary zoning. Does anyone know what inclusionary zoning is in the room? Have you heard it said before? Well, okay, Michelle, okay, well, yeah, you're the planning director, of course you have. So inclusionary zoning, and the reason I stop here, inclusionary zoning is something that the federal government is talking about a lot right now. And essentially what they're asking for is, by right, the ability to build multi-unit housing projects on a site. And the city of Barrie is going to be under the same pressure from the federal government that every other city in the country is. If you allow it, they will invest in you. If you don't allow it, they will not. I listened to the housing minister last Wednesday, probably exactly this time a week ago. He's very capable, very sharp, and he's very succinct. If you don't include this in your zoning bylaw, we will not fund you. And that is to the tune of about $42 million for the city of Barrie. That is a large, large, large chunk of investment for us. So I think you'll be seeing that come down the line as well. Just before we go on from the affordable housing strategy, one item I want to highlight for everybody in the room is this, is that my belief is the greatest challenge that's facing our next generation is the inability to attain ownership in housing. And if we only focus on rental, I think what we're doing is we're creating a generation that is widening the gap between the rich and poor. And so one of the things that we need to wrap our heads around is how, and it's not easy, there's no quick answer. If there's a quick answer, people will be doing it everywhere. How we as a city can be involved with the county, with the development community, with builders, with not-for-profits to get attainable ownership housing to market. And so we've had a couple of items come forward that we're looking at right now, but this is going to be an added piece to our affordable housing strategy because, thank you, because the reality is every time you build an attainable unit, you're also freeing up an affordable rental unit. So you're getting double the amount there. And so it's really important for us that we have that opportunity for young people. Surplus properties. As I said earlier, we're surplusing properties. What does that mean? It means that we are taking properties that we don't currently use or have any real need for, and we are putting them out in the market to build more, you got it, housing. Our goal, not just through these 3 properties, but our goal overall is to deliver about 5,000 new units to market, and that, to put in perspective, is a 10% increase on the current number of doors in the City of Barrie. These 3 properties, if you're a developer, they're for sale. Please speak to Michael, not myself, and he will help you through the process. The same time as we are delivering these properties already zoned to market, we're also going to be bringing a windfall into the City of Barrie. And our goal is to take these dollars and just invest them right back in the quality of life of the community. I look around and we've got Georgian College, we've got opportunities for a university, we've got an art center that I've said for the 3rd time right now. I didn't believe I would ever say that when I was elected. We've got the Sadlon Arena, we've got lots of initiatives downtown that we could put into place. We've got a rec center in Southeast Barrie. We need to deploy these funds to ensure that we're moving the City of Barrie forward in what, you know, the quality of life area and what the reason we all move here and live here. In terms of helping those in need, our council delivered $1.65 million between 2023 and 2024 to augment what we already provide the county to do social services in the City of Barrie. So we stepped away. We said, we need to do more than we're required. We need to do more than we're being asked. And we put another $1.65 million on top of the already $25 million that we send to the county each and every year. We worked with organizations like the Gilbert Center on cooling and warming centers, John Howard Society, Elizabeth Fry on helping individuals who are stuck here, have no supports here, get back to their supports where they might be from. We ensured that there's going to be money for food programs. We worked with the Salvation Army, who has year after year after year delivered for the City of Barrie and delivered for those who were most in need. And I'm very proud of the work that this council did, putting the politics aside to say we need to step up and we need to do more. In terms of community safety, it's like almost 2 sides of the same coin right now, where we have such huge issues affecting our city and affecting every city, as I've said. And we have our police officers here. Thank you for the work that you all do on this front in terms of community safety. But it is a very trying and challenging time. I always say when I'm speaking at any of the police functions that I believe that this is the most difficult time there's ever been to be a police officer. It is incredibly difficult. So we've said, okay, how do we structurally change the numbers? What's the math on individuals who are hurting our community? And structurally, one of the major issues we were facing was the CNCC, which is, well, I refer to it as Penetang. The prison was releasing folks at our transit terminal downtown. So it didn't matter where in Ontario you're from. You went to Penetang, you got dropped off at our transit terminal. To put in perspective, these folks, it's not their fault. They were dropped off on the side of the road in a place that they don't know at all, with nothing but the food and clothes and money that they had when they were put in and incarcerated. We were dropping the ball. And thankfully, we have a provincial government that said, you know what? We got to do something. How do we work with you, the City of Barrie? So together, we've been able to create a program where the City of Barrie, through our transit department, and now it's actually going to be done internally over the next little while, is able to go to Penetang, pick individuals up, help them get where they want to go, closer to home, closer to supports, closer to family. And that in itself has, in 3 months, 100 people were not dropped off in downtown Barrie that would have been. Only, I believe, and Rebecca, you can correct me, I think about 20 chose to be in the City of Barrie. So 5/6 of the individuals who would have been dropped off at a transit terminal in the City of Barrie and left stranded are now getting closer to home, if not home itself. And that is a huge win, thank you to the province. Automated speed enforcement, I'm probably going to hear complaints about it. If you don't like it, don't go on Big Bay Point Road and Ann Street right now. And if you do, don't go over the limit. And if you're in a school zone, please, please, please follow the law, because obviously our young people are our greatest resource. We were ranked the safest city in Canada, and that's something that's happened continually, and we want to see that obviously continue going forward. Just going to step back here. I skipped over investing in more uniformed police officers. Two key points on this that I want to leave in everyone's minds. Number one is, I think, Robert, it was 2 new officers last year and 5 this year? 5 and 6. 5 officers last year, 6 new officers this year. Not only that, the police service decided to go from 2 deputy chiefs down to 1 to be able to put more resources on the ground. And that, to me, is a sign of an organization that gets it, that understands, and is trying to reduce the top level and obviously increase safety in the community. So thank you for that. In terms of that quality of life, I think one of the most, I would say the funnest, the most fun days of the year we had was the announcement at Painswick Park, where we had Jumpstart Canadian Tire step up, invest over $2 million and work with the City of Barrie to provide a completely accessible playground. And you know the success of a new playground, because I've never seen one before like this, that I can't get parking to go there with my kids. It is so busy and successful. I can't say enough good things about Canadian Tire, can't say enough good things about obviously Jumpstart, but also our staff in the recreation department and the communications department that walked us all through it, just did incredible work on this. And the ward councillor, and I say councillor, but it's actually councillors because it's kind of on one of those borderlines, them came and said, we need more parking, and we need more a parking lot, and so we've actually approved that addition in this budget. Weekend recreation, we've returned. It left during COVID. It's now back. We've also approved a second day for seniors to ride transit through the city free, which allows our seniors who are hurt, probably more than anybody else during these price increases and inflation, to be able to get around and be able to go to their medical appointments or get groceries. We approved new ecological offsetting. I joked earlier. I honestly, when I was elected mayor, did not believe that I would say the word tree so many times as I've said in the last year. This is one of the greatest successes, and I think the opportunities for us to talk about what our public servants are doing to reduce costs and to increase quality of life in the City of Barrie. Through this program, it was previously delivered by our conservation authorities. For every tree that was cut down in the City of Barrie as part of a development, there would be for every 3 trees, there would be 1 tree replanted. Today, because of this change, for every tree cut down, there's going to be 1 tree planted. Previously, under the old program, that tree could be planted anywhere within the Lake Simcoe watershed. It's a pretty vast area. I can pretty well guarantee you 99.9% of them were not planted in the City of Barrie. Okay? So now, every tree that's getting planted, 3 times more trees, all of them in the City of Barrie. And the final thing, which is mind-blowing, is we have 3 times more trees planted in the City of Barrie at a 60% discount to the development community compared to what they were paying before. So we reduced costs, we increased the number of trees, and we focused it in the City of Barrie. It's just absolutely a huge win. And to put it in perspective, the costs that were in place before, the development at the corner of Bayview and Big Bay Point Road, those 38 acres of industrial, they were going to be paying over $500,000 in ecological offsetting. And through the new program, 3 times the trees, and they only pay $240,000. So huge win for us going forward. We're also investing in roads. As I said before, fix the roads was obviously a major thing. It's also create the new ones. When you think about the roads that have been under construction the last year, it's not just my fault, it's not just council's fault, it's also the province's fault, and we'll get into that in a second. But we're working together to make sure that our infrastructure is brought back. Those include Bryan Drive, Duckworth Street, the Dunlop interchange. You've seen Sunnydale, and I think it's in the next slide here, I'll just check, yeah. Sunnydale is also having a new bridge put in. The province is investing literally tens, if not hundreds of millions of dollars today in the City of Barrie to widen the 400 and to allow for very safe either interchanges or bridges over the highway. And that's going to pay us major dividends in the future. Until then, every day those bridges are closed, it's a frustration. So I say sorry in the short term, and I say thank you in the long term, Doug, okay? There's another, I think I just have to leave it and let it go.
One of Barrie Council's main priorities is an investment in our roads. And this construction season, the city spent significant time, energy, and effort to fix our roads, improve infrastructure, add active transportation networks, and prepare for growth. Over 16 kilometers of roadway was paved in 2023, and about 30 road construction projects are happening in Barrie this year. Many projects were completed this past summer, while some of the major projects are still underway. A total of $128 million was invested in Barrie's roads and infrastructure this year alone. Here are some of the major road project updates for this construction season. Work on the Brine Drive South Extension to connect Harvey Road to Kaplan Avenue is progressing well. All crossings over creeks have been completed, and the contractor is working on completing underground infrastructure. This project should be done by the end of next year and will improve traffic flow across the south end. At the Dunlop Street project, work is now focused on the Cedar Point and Edge Hill area, with a full intersection closure there until late December. This project will be done by next summer. The work is a key part of preparing for the Ministry of Transportation's Dunlop Street Bridge Replacement Project, which is currently in the design and environmental assessment stage. Once the MTO starts the bridge replacement project, it's expected to take about 4 years to complete. Work at the Duckworth Street and Grove Street East area is going well. Water main and storm sewer installations are taking place, with some lane closures being in place during fall and into the winter. Restoration work on Duckworth Street south of Grove Street East will continue into November. This project is currently on track to be complete in spring of 2025. The Ministry of Transportation continues work on the ESSA Bridge replacement and Highway 400 overpass reconstruction. Construction of the interchange is progressing well, and work along ESSA Road continues. The project is scheduled to be done in late 2025. Once complete, ESSA Road will be 6 lanes in total and much easier for pedestrians and cyclists to navigate with the new addition of a multi-use trail and a new sidewalk. Another Ministry of Transportation project, the Sunnydale Bridge replacement, should be done by the end of next year. Currently, excavation work continues to make way for new bridge abutments. Making it easier to get around the city is a priority for Council and our residents, so we continue to make investments in our roads and infrastructure. Thank you for your patience and understanding during another busy construction season in Barrie.
So we have a new transit network that's going to be hitting. We're actually finding around $10 million in total savings and operational and capital savings through that. We'll have increased frequency. We'll be able to move more quickly throughout the city, and we're ensuring that the areas of the city that are related to employment are seeing increased services. And so to the transit department, I say thank you, but as we see this deployed, it's going to mean that the people of Barrie are going to be able to get around the city of Barrie by using public transit in a much more efficient way. In terms of downtown developments, and there's been a lot, and I say that, you know, it's interesting, a number of years ago, I hosted the previous city council, I think it was 2018, to my home, and I said to them, you know, you just got sworn in, and all of you are standing on the shoulders of everyone who's come before you. And that is just as much true today for our council as it was for that council back then. And so as you see these downtown developments coming through, obviously Lack House getting occupancy, debut, you're seeing the construction take place around the transit terminal there. The residences on Owen, which we will see break ground if they haven't already broken ground, and starting to build in the next number of months. These are all great signs of great investment happening in our city. But there's been a missing component in downtown Barrie. And even though the building stood there, what it was supposed to bring to the city was actually never realized. And I am so thankful and excited, quite frankly, that Jamie Massey, Dino Melchior, Mr. Bristow, and Mr. Mike Stollery have come together to purchase what was, I believe, soon to be previously known as the Lakeview Center. This is a piece that is, I think, 11 stories high. Right now, Bill Gosling's taken 2 stories of it. Georgian has taken 1 story. BMO's there. Most of it is empty. But there is actually to me, I have a renewed hope that we are going to have a very successful business center downtown. I'm not sure why they're parked in the corner over there, because they bought at Center Ice in downtown. So we are excited about that, and I just want to ask everyone to give a big congratulations and thanks to these gentlemen. When people are investing, when businesses are investing, I think it shows a good sign and a good hope for the future, and that's what we're seeing with this happening going forward. In terms of intergovernmental affairs, one of the first things, and Councillor Harvey, I'm going to throw you under a bus if that's okay. One of the first things that I said to our council when we sat down, and we have an incredible council, was that we are Team Barrie. But Team Barrie does not stop at the council table. It includes our provincial folks, it includes our federal folks, and we need to make sure everybody's working together. Because when we're working together, you're going to get the greatest benefit for the people that we serve. That, I think, has stood true over the last year and a half, and I believe it's going to stand true over the coming years. And it means individual members of council, or maybe it's provincial or federal members, put away their partisanship and just focus on results for the people of Barrie. And I think that's what we're seeing at this point. We have had an unprecedented set of meetings and relationships built with the provincial level. I know my counterparts, mayors around the province, beg for the meetings that we have, and that's because of the hard work that's done here at the local level by our provincial members. Our federal members are fighting every day to help us get that funding, and they're all aligned. We are all aligned going in the same direction, and that will deliver major, major, major results. I was thinking about this on the way over here. I cannot remember a time when all of council, all of the provincial and federal members representing this city were all working hand in glove. I just can't name a time. Doesn't mean they weren't great people. I'm sure they are. I'm sure they were. But I just don't remember that. And so this is our time to be able to let the city get ahead and accelerate. In terms of a little thing you've probably heard a little bit about in the media over the last little while is employment. You know, when I was doing some of these tours with our Director of Invest Barrie, Stephanie Schlichter, there's a common theme that we heard, 2 things we heard at every manufacturer in the city. It was employment in terms of not having enough individuals to fill the gaps that existed, and it was not having the land to expand to. So in the City of Barrie, we've got 200 serviceable acres. That's split over, I don't know, call it 10 or 15 different properties. It's not enough for us to be able to grow. When you think of AeroX, they have 25,000 square feet today. They need to go to 100,000 square feet. They have 50 employees. They need to go to 100 employees. Does anyone think they bought land here in the City of Barrie to grow? They tried. They really tried. They couldn't because it didn't exist. So they're moving to Washego. That's a loss to the City of Barrie. It's a loss to the fabric of the City of Barrie. Those people aren't going to our restaurants. They're not volunteering in our sports programs. They're not helping out in the arts community. They're not donating to initiatives. That is a big loss to the City of Barrie. When I look at Herman and TNR Doors leaving town, only going to the 4th line of Oro Medonte. But the reality is, there's no public transit, there's no sanitary sewer, and there's no water. So we as a city are in a really difficult place. We need serviced employment land. We need it for our businesses to grow, and we need it for other businesses to relocate here. So we've been working with the province in terms of asking for this, who've been very, very, very cooperative in terms of understanding what our goals are, understanding what our needs are, and kind of setting out a process for us to work with our neighbor municipalities. And I think what you'll see over the next little while is that we will at some point be able to bring in and online more employment land in this area. We cannot let the lines drawn on a map determine whether people in Barrie have to commute to Toronto or they get to work right here. We need to get beyond that, and that's what this initiative is about going forward. I think this is essentially coming to the end of my presentation, and we'll open it up for questions around, and there's lots of words on the screen, but for me, I think I just want to break it down to saying thank you for the honor to be your mayor. Thank you to each and every one of our city councillors who are always roaring to go to take on new challenges and to find new opportunities. And certainly thank you to our public servants who keep the city ticking day in and day out. I'll certainly open up for questions now. And Paul, I'm not sure how you want to handle that. I get to ask the first question?
Stand up and project.
Stand up and project your voice, not projectiles. Do we have any questions in the room? I know this is really good if there's no questions. Fantastic, Paul. That's all you.
No questions for the mayor? Well, I guess he's answered all of our questions. Thank you very much, Alex. As the ED for the Barrie Chamber, we spend a lot of time working on different issues, and we've been working closely with the city on the concerns that you brought forward and initiatives that are going forward. And we have good relationships, obviously, with our elected officials as well. So I want to thank you for sharing your vision today and for giving us a glimpse into what our future holds for us. I think our future is bright in Barrie, and I think if you live here, you understand that. We just need more people to live here to understand that and to continue to grow. I want to thank the staff of Liberty North for an excellent lunch today. Lori and her crew do an amazing job. Chef Mark back there. We do a lot of events here, and they've been able to adapt. We use local companies like Olive Oil Company to provide enhancements for our salads and for the different meals. In looking after dietary restrictions is a challenge these days, so they make it very easy. I want to also thank Upsight Sound for the AV today. Again, being able to have this recorded so that we can present it later is important, and we appreciate their work. Also to Steve and Elliot, who is here taking pictures, making ugly people look good. I'm talking about myself and a few others in the room that I won't mention. Todd. I'd also like to take a moment to highlight a couple of the upcoming events that we have happening in the community. The 2024 Women in Business Awards is happening on March 7th. It's probably one of our biggest events now. It's 7 years in, and it's growing. We had record numbers of entries this year and nominees. It's in judging at the moment, but tickets are available. We would encourage you to buy your tickets because they will sell out fairly quickly, and it's right back here on March 7th. And just go to our website, barriechamber.com, to find that. I must say that the website is much more intuitive these days as well, so happy to have you there. Mark your calendars for February 21st, which is our next BA5, which is going to be at Gilda's house. I think I saw Aaron here. And that'll be a great event. Superior Home Health is sponsoring that event. The last few that we've had have been well over 100 people. But these are great opportunities to interact with local charities, but also small business and see what's happening, and all are welcome. I'd like to also acknowledge the generous support of our sponsors today, the City of Barrie, Invest Barrie, Paul Sadlon Motors. It's great to have you guys back, and Michelle and Paul, Senior Paul Jr., your help is much appreciated. Our media sponsors, Central Ontario Broadcasting, Cool 107.1, Rock 95, and Barrie 360, along with Chorus, Big 101.1, Fresh 93.1, are obviously very important in us getting our messaging out. And again, if you're not using radio and supporting that local media, you need to be, because it's at risk if we're not supporting them. Also like to thank Bruton Investments for the flowers today on the tables that were provided by Wild Lotus. Again, another local business that does great work. And once again, just want to thank Mayor Nuttall for your inspiring leadership. Thank you to everyone for being here. Please get past the protesters, be safe on your way home, and we hope to see you at our next event. Thanks very much.
Down the corner of my street, every night there the headlights.
Sorry, folks, we were a little faster than we thought, but dessert's being delivered, so don't leave without getting your dessert fix. Otherwise, it's going to go to waste. Thank you.